How's it going, guys? So, I'm not sure if I've talked about my old 83 pickup in any of these videos or not, but I have this. I bought this K10 long time ago, and it was really just a toy. It was just more of a mud truck. For years. I mean, 15, 16, 17 years ago, I think I bought this thing. It was a K10 with a small block in it, 700R4 and a 208 transfer case with, you know, your corporate 10-bolt axles, front and rear. The first thing I did was put a 454 in it. That 454 I'd since just recently rebuilt. That's the one I was kind of showing you guys in a couple of videos ago. It's all rebuilt, ready to go again. But way back when I first put it in, I still had the 700R, and I, you know, proceeded to smoke that transmission immediately. I think it took like 15 minutes. So I then swapped it over to the, you know, the Creeper Gear 4-speed 205 transfer case, and you know, I stopped having transmission problems. Those things are pretty well bulletproof. But then I kept breaking drive shafts. You know, I was just spitting drive shafts out of the thing left and right, especially front shafts. So I, you know, eventually upgraded the drive shafts, and then you can imagine, it started breaking the axles over and over and over again. And then, yeah, one outing, I went out and broke a front axle shaft, and then while we were trying to pull it out, I broke a rear axle shaft, and got the thing dragged back home, and just rolling it off the trailer, the ball joint popped out of the knuckle, and the wheel fell off, and I'm like, okay, the truck is telling me something. Like, it's time to upgrade the axles. So the truck sat for, you know, another couple of years while I sourced 1-ton axles. It wasn't hard to find a 14-bolt full float for the back, but it took quite a bit more time to find a good, you know, Dana 60 for the front. Once I finally got that, got the 1-ton axles rounded up and rebuilt and everything ready to go in, and then I upgraded the drive shafts again up to 1410 series shafts, front and rear. It's like the same size U-joint they used on like a deuce and a half. It's just a massive freaking U-joint. So then, you know, like the whole thing was, I had everything finally, you know, years later, had everything pretty well bulletproof. And then I got one summer's worth of playing out of it, and then I swamped the motor out. I drove into too deep of water and ruined the engine. So, and there it sat again for another several years. So just recently, we pulled the whole body off of the truck because it was just completely shot. There's pretty much gravity holding the cab down. So, and then we had so, you know, I had found a decent cab, and I got a couple front clips, and have most of the stuff to put a body back on it. But while it was stripped down, like, I'm looking at it like, you know, it's got 1-ton axles, and it's got crossover steering, it's got huge drive shafts, got everything, but still a half-ton frame. So I kind of figured, you know, it'd be kind of silly to not upgrade to a 1-ton frame while it's, you know, completely torn down. So that's where this comes in. It's up here in Michigan, it's really hard to find a good you know, K30 frame, 4-wheel drive 1-ton frame that anybody wants to part with, you know, that you don't have to buy a whole truck just to get the frame. So I had found this K30 frame, two-wheel drive, 1-ton frame. And I had it sitting out at my friend's house for like 10 years. I had it blasted and coated with epoxy, and it was actually for a different project. It was for a, I was going to build a tow rig, I think, with it. But this came up, and I'm like, what the hell? I might as well use that frame with this truck. After doing a little bit of research on what needs to be done, and if it's physically possible or not too much of a headache to convert a two-wheel drive frame to a four-wheel drive frame. So basically, the frame rails themselves are super close. They're a little bit different, but they're really, really close. So on a 3/4 ton and on a 1/2 ton, the leaf spring hangers they come out farther away from the frame. With the 1-ton frames, 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive 1-ton frames, the leaf spring hangers are different. They're tighter to the frame, so it makes it so your leaf spring perches on your axle are closer together. Basically, the distance between the leaf springs is narrower. I don't exactly know why they did that. Only on 1-tons, but who the hell knows? Somebody probably knows. But so, in order for me to just keep my leaf spring perches where they're at, I have to go to either K10 or K20 leaf spring hangers. So the other difference is the two-wheel drive hangers, like these, they don't hang down as far. They're tucked up a lot more. Your four-wheel drive hangers they're way down here. So they'd be in the same location, but they just come down more, so they can, it gives the four-wheel drives the higher ride height. So basically, I'm going to be just moving the K10 leaf spring hangers over to this frame. So the leaf spring, the other thing I'm going to do here, if I'm replacing the hangers, I'm actually going to be moving them out, away from each other, front and back, basically. So the 1/2 tons, and I believe that most all the 3/4 tons, they all had 52-inch springs. The 1-tons have 56. So not only are the leaf springs closer together, the brackets are tighter to the frame, but it actually uses a little bit longer spring. So what I want to do, the front springs that were on the truck are really, really nice riding lift springs. They were 6-inch lift springs, and I took a few leaves out of the bottom of them. So they're probably more like a 4-inch lift spring, but the front rides like a Cadillac. It rides awesome. So I wanted to try and make the rear ride really good too. Like, I'm not going to be hauling like extremely heavy loads with this truck. So I want to go to the 88 and up 64-inch springs that they started using in 88, and all the way up into, hell, I think even the brand new Silverados are still using a 64-inch long spring. So I just have to move the hangers forward, move the front one forward, move the rear one rearward, and they're pretty, I think the 52-inch springs are centered, You know, so you have, what, 26 inches and 26 inches. The pin is right in the center of the spring. I think the 56-inch springs are not centered. They're a little bit longer on the tail end here than they are on the towards the front. So the hole, you know, your centering pin in the center is a little bit offset on the 56s. And the 64s, I believe, are centered again. So I just got to do some math and figure out where exactly these hangers got to be. And then I'm probably going to move them down a little bit to try and actually get, a little bit of lift. Because I'd really like to try to, I don't really want lift springs. I'd like to actually try to use a factory 64-inch spring. So if I can move the front hanger forward and then down an inch or two, and then in the back I'm going to be doing a shackle reversal. So you can pick up 4 inches of lift just by doing a shackle reversal. So I should be able to get the truck to ride, or to sit, its ride height be really close to where it was before, with no lift blocks. That's what it had in the back for the lift. It was the factory 52 springs with like 5-inch lift blocks or something. Like, it was awful. It rode decent, because it was just stock springs, but the axle wrap was just terrible. So that's what I'm going to be doing back here. I rounded up a hitch so I can, obviously it needs a hitch either way, but I got a hitch to hold the frame together back here, because I'm going to be taking this cross member out, a couple of these cross members, because I want to mount a Blazer or Suburban fuel tank in the back here and not run the saddle tanks, like they originally have. I just assume put one tank back here. It'll be a simpler fuel system. The shock mounts, you can see them. They're on the inside of the frame and they're staggered. You got one here and then you have the other one up there. It's the opposite of 3/4 and 1/2 ton frames. I didn't know this until I had the two next to each other. The stagger is opposite. So the 1/2 ton frame, that shock mount is back here. It's not only back here, but it's on the outside of the frame, not the inside. And then this one is in turn up here, and then same thing on the outside of the frame. So in order to, I'm probably just going to run these upper shock mounts, so I'm probably just going to have to cut the shock tabs off of the rear axle and just flip them over side to side. I don't know why the hell they did that either, but it's GM, who the hell knows. And then we got excuse me, I don't have the body mount perches that go out here. They must have been in really bad shape. I must have cut them off. So those got to come over from the 1/2 ton frame. The shock mounts here, the front shock mounts, the 4-wheel drive frame just has a little bracket that bolts here and comes out and has this hole. So you just have to, I'm just going to have to get those brackets and then drill the holes. But it is in the same location. It's right in that same spot. 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive. The front spring hangers are kind of incorporated into this front core support body mount here. So this will just come off and you just replace it with the 4-wheel drive version, basically. And then back here somewhere is where your shackle hanger is going to have to get mounted. It's going to have to drill pretty big holes in the frame down here in order to mount that rear shackle mount. But that should be pretty simple. You know, once you get these on, you could just take some measurements or just attach the leaf springs up here at the front and kind of, you know, line them up back here and drill your holes and move everything over. So the front should be, you know, not too big of a deal to do it all with the suspension. The rear is going to be a little more involved, being I want to go to the longer springs. This piece, this is different on the two-wheel drive frame versus the four-wheel drive frame. This thing is kind of angled the opposite way on that K10 frame, which kind of sucks because I had bought the steering brace, the bolt-on steering brace that worked with that K10 cross member here. So I can either maybe see about moving that one over to this frame, or just buy you can buy the bolt-on steering brace for a two-wheel drive frame, and then I can just keep this and get a new you know, brace to work with that one, because you really do want to have a brace. I'm sure some of you guys know that these frames are very prone to breaking around this where the steering gear mounts up out here. So the one kind of wild card, I guess, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do is the engine cross member. So the two-wheel drive, you know, it has a huge cross member that goes underneath the frame that bolts up, you know, as the lower control arm mounts, and it's this huge contraption up here that you can, luckily you can just unbolt it and remove it from the frame. But this section of the frame is not the same. It's not the same height. The dimensions are all different. So the engine, basically the engine cross member, the engine mount cross member, is not just going to move over into this frame and just bolt back into place. The K10 frame is actually taller right here than this C30 frame. So that engine mount cross member fits down inside of the channels, and it's just not going to fit. It isn't going to fit without pretty extensive modifications. So I'm not really sure. I may end up just building a cross member, or these two-wheel drives have these plates that I believe use these two holes here, and they come down and meet that really big, heavy lower cross member, but they have the clamshell mounts on them. So what I was debating on maybe doing is getting those plates and bolting them on here and have them come down to where they would attach to that cross member going across, and just build my own, oh, sorry, camera's going crazy there, build my own lower, you know, cross member to meet up with those factory like two-wheel drive clamshell mounts, because that would give me my proper engine location and everything. It would put the motor mounts right where they're supposed to be, and I would just have to build my own kind of belly pan, you know, to go underneath the engine and tie it all back together. Because the four-wheel drive, my engine mount cross member that I have in that truck is cracked in 2 or 3 different places, and they're notorious for that, especially when you start putting a pretty good amount of power through them. So, you know, it doesn't fit in here, and it's already broke. So I'm probably just not going to use it, and I'm going to come up with my own solution. So I think that's about it. I'm going to this is just going to be one of these things that I just kind of chip away on in my spare time out here. But the engine is all 100% ready to go. That you guys saw that thing in the past couple videos. Not going to run the creeper gear 4-speed anymore, as much as I would love to. I really very much enjoyed driving the truck with that transmission, and I guess if I could, I would continue running it. But I think, you know, sad to say, but I'm gonna have to go to an automatic. It's gonna get a 4L80E, and I already have the 32 spline round pattern NP205 transfer case to do it. They pretty much bolt right up to the back of a 4L80 with very minimal modification. So it's just gonna get an automatic. You know, I said I would never do it, but you know, it's I can, you know, I still enjoy my stick shifts. You know, the old Chevelle's got a 4-speed, the Jeep's got a 5-speed, but it's just the all day long, you know, out four-wheeling out in the wilderness for an entire day, man. I just, my legs are bad enough. My nerves just get flared up in the bottom of my feet, actually. Like, I don't have a problem pushing the clutch, but it just kills the bottom of my feet. But I have so much nerve damage in my feet that they just can't take it, you know. I can go drive in town and go do this kind of run around, and I don't have any problem. But this was an off-road truck, and it's going to be an off-road truck again. So I think I'm just going to do the easy button. Swap it over to a slush box and make it a lot more boring to drive. But, you know, I don't know, probably be more practical and useful. And, you know, hell, even the wife could drive it, you know, in an emergency. She probably never will, though. But, yeah, so I guess this is going to be the first kind of video in a series of videos about putting this truck together. So I'm stoked about this. This was a truck that I had like back when I had no money, man. Like it was a $700 truck, and I had to go take out a loan to buy this truck. You know, I was like just out of high school. And I just, you know, I just had a lot of good memories in this truck. So it's really excited to get it back, you know, get it back together again. And it's obviously there's not going to be much left of the original truck at all. I mean, really, I was thinking about it, and it's probably going to be these brackets and leaf spring hangers that I move over from the old frame are really going to be the only thing left of the old truck. So it's really not the same truck, but I'm going to go ahead and pretend it is. So yeah, more videos to come on this one, guys. Thanks for watching.